Hey, everyone. I've been on Reddit for years, but this is the first time I have the courage to write about my life, so bear with me. I 35 am the youngest of two boys in a family where the pecking order was established pretty much from birth. My older brother Jack, 37 was always the golden child, first to graduate, first to get hitched, first to pop out some kids, first to check all the boxes on my parents' perfect son checklist. Meanwhile, I existed, and sometimes that existence came with a wallet that opened on command. Growing up, it was always clear who the favorite was, but hey, I made my peace with it. Or at least I thought I did. I left home, built my own life, got a decent job at a marketing firm that paid well. Should have been the end of the story, right? I suddenly found myself covering all my parents' expenses. It started small, a call from mom about being short on the electric bill, dad needing help with car repairs, the kind of stuff you don't think twice about because they're your parents, and that's what family does. Except it didn't stop there. The requests got bigger, the gratitude got smaller, and the expectation grew until it wasn't even a request anymore, just a statement of what I would be paying for next. And like a sucker, I kept doing it every time because what else do you do when it's family? Then one day, I'm sitting in Jack's backyard watching his kids run around like tiny tornadoes when his wife Natalie, 36F, drops this truth bomb: your parents only love you when you pay their bills. Now mind you, Natalie's a bit sharp and manipulative, so I just laughed it off. Because what else could I do? But man, that stuck with me, like when you hear a weird noise in your car and suddenly can't unhear it. It explained everything: the sudden interest in my life whenever I mentioned a bonus at work, the increasing coldness when I talked about saving for my own stuff, the way dad would be so proud of me right before mentioning some financial emergency. So I started testing it. When mom called to catch up, I just chatted, no mentions of money, no offers to help. The calls got shorter. The invitations to family gatherings dried up. My status in the family hierarchy was directly proportional to the cash flow I provided. And that realization sucked harder than I ever thought it could. Looking back, I should have seen the signs earlier. Like how my birthday presents would be something cheap while Jack got exactly what he wanted. Or how they'd come to my place and raid my fridge without bringing anything. Or how they'd borrow stuff and never return it. Small things that add up over time. Jack wasn't much better. He was always struggling despite making decent money at his accounting job. Something was always going wrong with his house or his car, or his kids needed something expensive, and somehow it always fell on me to bail him out. Because that's what family does. But here's the thing about family: it's supposed to be a two-way street. Sure, you help each other out, but it's not supposed to be one person constantly giving while everyone else takes. That's not family. That's a relationship with a human ATM. The worst part? I actually believed I was helping. I thought I was being the good son, the good brother. I thought they appreciated it, even if they didn't show it much. I thought all this giving would eventually earn me the same love and respect they gave Jack. It didn't. It just made them expect more. The more I gave, the more they wanted. It's like feeding a stray cat: once you start, you can't stop without feeling like the bad guy. And boy, did they know how to make me feel like the bad guy? We're not asking for much. After all we've done for you. Your brother would help if he could. It's just until next month. We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. All those little guilt trips worked like a charm. Until they didn't. I started noticing other things too. Like how they'd brag about Jack's accomplishments to anyone who would listen, but mine only came up when they needed to explain why I should be able to help out. Or how my opinions never seemed to matter at family gatherings unless they were about what I was paying for. I'd sit there at holidays watching Jack get all the attention, all the praise, all the love, while I got the bill. And I'd tell myself it was fine, this was normal, this was what younger brothers did. But it wasn't fine, and it wasn't normal. It was screwed up. The more I thought about Natalie's comment, the more examples I could think of. The time mom called to see how I was doing right after I mentioned getting a raise on social media. The time dad suddenly wanted to go fishing, just us boys, right before revealing he needed money for a new roof. The way they'd call Jack for advice but me for cash. It was like I had two families, the one I thought I had and the one I actually had. And coming face to face with the reality hurt more than I expected. So, yeah, that's the backdrop. That's the family I grew up in. A golden child who could do no wrong, parents who saw me as a walking wallet, and me, the idiot who kept trying to buy the love they gave my brother for free. Anyway, Thanksgiving rolled around, and as usual, I was expected to host, pay, cook, and clean. Because that's just what I did, apparently. Been doing it for the past 5 years straight. Jack and Natalie would bring a shitty store-bought pie that nobody ate, my parents would bring their appetites and complaints, and I'd foot the bill for the whole damn show. But that year was different. I was tired. Not just regular tired, but the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. The kind where you wake up and immediately want to go back to sleep. The kind where even thinking about hosting another family gathering made me want to scream into a pillow. So I suggested we do it at my parents' place instead. The silence on the phone was so long I literally checked to see if the call had dropped. Then they dropped this on me. My mom literally said I could come to Thanksgiving if I paid off Jack's maxed out credit cards first. Not, we'll miss you if you don't come, not, let's figure something out. Nope. A straight up price tag on my place at the family table. Your brother's been having some financial difficulties, Mom said, like this was news, like he hadn't been having financial difficulties for the last decade. His credit cards are maxed out. If you could just help him this once. This once. Like I hadn't helped 100 times before. Like this wasn't just the latest withdrawal from the bank of me. Something inside me just snapped. All those years of being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one they could count on to bail everyone out, and this was what it came down to: pay up or don't bother showing up. You're right, I said, surprised at how calm my voice sounded. And that's why I'm done. I hung up. Just like that. No chance for them to work their usual guilt magic on me. I just ended the call and sat there, heart pounding, waiting for the guilt to hit. It didn't come. Instead, I felt relieved, like I'd been carrying this massive weight without realizing it, and suddenly it was gone. My phone blew up immediately. Texts started rolling in, don't be dramatic. It's what family is supposed to do. This isn't how we raised you. You're being selfish. Each one was like a confirmation that I'd made the right decision. Each attempt to make me feel bad just made me more certain that I was done being manipulated. For the first time in my life, I turned my phone on silent and put it face down. I ordered a pizza and watched a movie without thinking about what problem I'd have to solve next. It felt weird. Good weird, but still. The next day, Natalie called. I almost didn't answer, figuring it would be more guilt-tripping, but curiosity won out. You should have seen your mom last night, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. She was absolutely losing it. Kept saying she couldn't believe you would do this to your brother. I didn't say anything, just waited. And your dad just sat there looking all pissed off like someone had stolen his wallet. That made me laugh, because, yeah, someone did steal his wallet, me, by taking it back. Then she got serious. Look, I'm going to be real with you. You don't owe them a damn thing. But if you really want to drive the point home, don't go back. Not for Christmas, not for birthdays. Let them stew in their own mess. You'll see how fast they come crawling when they realize their ATM isn't working anymore. I never fully trusted Natalie, she always seemed to be playing some angle, but damn if she wasn't right about this. So that's exactly what I did. Thanksgiving came and went. I heard through the grapevine that they threw together some sad little dinner. Mom apparently complained to everyone who would listen that I'd abandoned the family during the holidays. Jack supposedly slept through most of it, probably hungover. And Natalie? She seemed weirdly happy about the whole thing. When Christmas rolled around, I made plans with friends and booked a trip out of town. 2 days before I was supposed to leave, my phone rang. Mom. I stared at it for a long time before answering. Hello? Are you really not coming? She asked, skipping right past the pleasantries. Why would I? I shot back. You made it pretty clear my presence depends on how much money I hand over. Silence. Then, your brother is struggling, honey. We just want to make sure he's okay. Then maybe he should figure that out himself. She gasped like I just told her I kick puppies for fun. That's your brother. And? I asked, genuinely curious what she'd say. She stuttered for a second, then switched tactics. You know, we were talking, and we think maybe Natalie has been a bad influence on you. I couldn't believe it. Are you actually trying to turn me against her now? That's your play? We just think you should be careful who you listen to. I shook my head even though she couldn't see it. That's funny, because she was the only one honest enough to tell me what you really think of me. More silence. Then finally, I just hope you realize what you're doing. And she hung up on me. No, Merry Christmas, no, we'll miss you. Just a vague threat that I'd regret setting boundaries. I went on my trip, posted photos on social media, had the best Christmas I'd had in years. No stress about who was getting what presents, no awkward family dinner where I paid for everything while Jack got all the attention, no subtle digs about how I should be more like him even though I was the one keeping the family afloat financially. Just me, my friends, and a complete lack of guilt. It was glorious. I thought that would be the end of it. Just some family drama that would eventually blow over. I'd stand my ground, they'd realize I wasn't bluffing, and we'd figure out a way to move forward where they stopped expecting me to foot the bill for everything. That's how it goes in movies, right? Big confrontation, lessons learned, cue the happy ending. But real life? Yeah, the universe had other plans for me. A week after Christmas, my landlord called. This was weird because we basically never talked unless something was wrong with the apartment. Hey, I got a weird call from someone claiming to be your mother, he said. She was asking about your lease. My stomach dropped. What? She said she was worried about you, wanted to make sure you were handling your bills okay. Asked if you'd been paying your rent on time. My blood went cold. This wasn't concern. This was her trying to dig into my finances. Why? Because she couldn't manipulate me anymore, so she was looking for some kind of leverage. Maybe hoping I was behind on rent so she could swoop in with help that would come with strings attached. She also asked how much you were paying, my landlord continued. I didn't tell her anything, obviously, that's all confidential, but thought you should know. I thanked him for letting me know and hung up, my mind racing. Who does that? Who calls their adult son's landlord to snoop on their finances? It was insane. But also, in a weird way, validating. It proved everything I'd been thinking. They didn't care about me. They cared about access to my money. And now that I'd cut them off, they were scrambling to find a way back in. That's when I realized this wasn't going to be a simple "I need space" situation. This was serious. I needed to protect myself. I spent the next day in hardcore lockdown mode. Froze my credit, changed all my passwords, removed them as emergency contacts from everything, made sure they had zero access to anything connected to me financially. Called my work and warned them not to give out any information if someone claiming to be my parents called. It felt extreme, like something you do with an abusive ex, not your own family. But they'd crossed a line, and I wasn't taking any chances. I thought filing reports and freezing accounts would be enough, but then things got real. A week later, Jack called. We hadn't talked since the Thanksgiving blow-up, so I was surprised to see his name on my phone. Part of me thought maybe he was calling to apologize, to say he understood why I'd backed away. Instead, he said, "Mom and Dad just took out a loan in your name." The world tilted sideways. They what? They used your social security number. They took out a loan, and I think they were hoping you wouldn't notice. My hands were shaking. How do you know this? There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then, because they asked me to do it first. I started fuming. This wasn't just a petty family fight. This was serious. This was identity theft. This was a crime. They asked you to do it first? I repeated, making sure I heard right. They wanted me to take out a loan in your name, he said, his voice quieter now. Mom said you wouldn't mind, said it was just temporary. I told them no, but I guess they just did it themselves. I stood up so fast my chair tipped over. Are you kidding me right now? Look, I'm sorry. I thought you should know. My heart was racing. My own parents had committed identity theft against me. The people who were supposed to love and protect me had stolen from me. Who does that? I pulled up my credit report right there while still on the phone, and yep, there it was, a brand new personal loan for several $1,000s under my name that I never took out. Holy shit, I muttered. They actually did it. Yeah, Jack said, and he sounded tired. They did. The floor felt like it was crumbling beneath me. This was beyond manipulation, beyond guilt trips. This was criminal. There was a long silence, then Jack said something that knocked me even further off balance. They did the same thing to me last year. What? He sighed. They took out a credit card in my name. I found out when collections calls started coming in. I was too embarrassed to say anything. What did you do? I paid it off, he said, and I could hear the shame in his voice. They made me feel like it was my fault somehow, like I owed them for raising me, and this was just part of paying them back. I sat there, stunned. This wasn't a one-time desperate act from my parents. This was a pattern. This was who they really were. Why are you telling me now? I finally asked. Because I wish someone had told me, he said simply. And because I'm tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not. I need to report this, I said. They could go to jail for this. Another pause. I know. Are you okay with that? He exhaled slowly. I don't know. But I think they need consequences this time. Real ones. Update 1, it's been about a month since I last posted, and things have escalated far beyond what I could have imagined. When I left off, Jack and I had just discovered our parents had committed identity theft against both of us. I decided to report them to the authorities, and Jack reluctantly agreed it was time for real consequences. The process of dealing with identity theft is a bureaucratic nightmare. Banks, credit bureaus, police reports, notarized statements, it's exhausting. And doing it against your own parents adds a whole new level of emotional baggage. During the investigation, the police uncovered that my parents had been living way beyond their means for years. The financial difficulties they kept claiming weren't because of medical bills or bad luck, they were financing a lifestyle they couldn't afford while using Jack and me as their personal credit lines. They'd taken vacations they never told us about. Bought luxury items they hid in storage. Dad had even been making payments on a boat, a freaking boat, that he kept at some marina 2 towns over. All while guilting me into paying their essential bills and making Jack co-sign for emergencies. Last week, they were formally charged with identity theft, fraud, and forgery. The district attorney is pushing for restitution, probation, and mandatory financial counseling. My parents' lawyer has been calling nonstop trying to get us to drop the charges. They're your parents, he keeps saying, as if that's supposed to mean something after everything they've done. Jack's been struggling with it all more than I have. I found him sitting in his car outside my apartment one night, just staring at the steering wheel. When I got in the passenger seat, he just started crying. Do you remember when we were kids, he asked, and Dad would take us fishing at Lake Carson? And how he'd always let you catch the first fish because you were so impatient. I did remember. They're the kind of golden memories that make this whole situation more confusing. How do you reconcile the father who taught you to fish with the man who stole your identity? Were they always like this? Jack asked. Or did they change? Did we do something to make them change? That's the question that keeps us both up at night. When did our parents stop seeing us as their children and start seeing us as resources to exploit? Natalie has been Jack's rock through all this. Despite my initial wariness of her, she's proven herself to be fiercely protective of him. Your parents spent years making Jack feel like he was never good enough, she told me over coffee. They'd praise him to his face, then turn around and use his success to manipulate you. It was a sick game they played with both of you. The family fallout has been intense. Aunts, uncles, and cousins have all picked sides. Dad's brother hasn't spoken to him since he found out. Mom's sister keeps posting vague Facebook statuses about honoring my mother and father, with pointed tags to Jack and me. My grandmother, my dad's mom, called me in tears after hearing what they'd done. My parents have gone into full character assassination mode. They've told anyone who will listen that I'm mentally unstable, that Jack is being manipulated by his wife, that we've both always been difficult children. They've even started contacting my friends and colleagues. One of my coworkers pulled me aside last week about a strange call from someone claiming to be my mom, asking personal questions about me and expressing concerns about my mental health. I had to have an awkward conversation with my boss explaining the situation in case they tried contacting the company directly. The worst incident happened when they showed up at Jack's daughter's school. Jack's oldest is only 7, and they tried to pick her up early, claiming there was a family emergency. Fortunately, the school called Jack to confirm, and he immediately drove over. There was a scene in the school parking lot, shouting, crying, the whole 9 yards. After that, Jack and Natalie got a temporary restraining order to keep my parents away from their kids. I should have done the same, but I honestly didn't think they'd escalate things that far with me. I was wrong. 3 days ago, I came home to find my apartment door slightly ajar. Nothing was missing, but things had been moved around. Drawers were partly open. Papers on my desk had been shuffled through. The police think they were looking for financial documents or anything they could use to regain some control over me. That night, staying in a hotel because I couldn't face going back to my violated apartment, I finally broke down. Not because I missed my parents or regretted reporting them, but because I realized how much danger they still posed to my life. These people who were supposed to protect me were actively trying to harm me because I'd cut off their access to my money. Jack and I have weekly calls now to check in and update each other on any contact attempts. We've both started therapy, something I should have done years ago. My therapist is helping me see how abnormal our family dynamic always was. The court date is set for next month. My lawyer says with the evidence we have, they'll almost certainly be convicted, but likely won't serve jail time given their age and lack of prior criminal record. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Part of me wants them to experience real consequences, but another part just wants this whole chapter closed so I can move on. There's been one unexpected bright spot in all this. Jack and I have gotten closer than we've ever been. Without our parents playing us against each other, we're finally developing a real relationship built on mutual respect rather than competition and obligation. Last weekend, we went fishing at Lake Carson for the first time in probably 20 years. We didn't talk about the case or our parents. We just fished, drank beer, and shared stories. For a few hours, it felt normal. Like we were just two brothers enjoying each other's company. And maybe that's the silver lining in this whole mess. We lost our parents, but we found each other. I'll update again after the court date. Thanks for all the supportive comments on my last post. Update 2, it's been 3 months since this nightmare began. The court date finally happened, and I wanted to share how everything went down. Jack and I arrived at the courthouse early that morning. We'd agreed to meet outside rather than go in together, just to have a moment of solidarity before facing our parents. He looked exhausted but determined. Ready for this? I asked. He nodded, jaw tight. Let's get it over with. Our attorney met us at the entrance, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who specialized in financial crimes. Nothing can really prepare you for sitting in a courtroom watching your parents being charged with crimes against you. They entered from a side door with their lawyer. Mom was wearing her church clothes, and Dad had his job interview tie on. When they saw us, Mom actually tried to approach, arms outstretched like she was going for a hug. The bailiff stopped her. Ma'am, please take your seat. There's a no-contact order in effect. The charges were read: identity theft, fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse, for using our deceased grandmother's information, and violation of restraining order, for the incident at Jack's daughter's school. Their lawyer requested a private conference with the judge and the prosecutor. They returned and announced a plea deal. My parents would plead guilty to identity theft and fraud. In exchange, the prosecutor would drop the other charges. The sentence: 2 years probation, restitution payments to Jack and me, mandatory financial counseling, and 200 hours of community service each. No jail time. Part of me was relieved. Another part felt cheated. Their punishment for systematically exploiting their children over years was basically a slap on the wrist. But our attorney assured us this was actually a good outcome. They now had criminal records, and if they violated probation, they'd face jail time. When asked if they wanted to make a statement, my father declined. My mother stood up and delivered the most self-serving non-apology I've ever heard. "We only did what any parents would do," she said, voice trembling. "We sacrificed everything for our boys, and when we needed help, we thought they would understand. This is all just a misunderstanding." The judge wasn't buying it. "Mrs. Henderson, what you did was not a misunderstanding. It was a crime. You violated your son's trust and their financial autonomy. I strongly suggest you use your time in counseling to develop a better understanding of appropriate boundaries." Outside the courthouse, reporters from the local paper were waiting. Jack and I declined to comment, but our parents' lawyer gave some statement about a family matter that should have remained private. That night, Jack, Natalie, and their kids came over to my new apartment for dinner. I'd moved across town after the break-in to a secured building with cameras. Jack seemed lighter somehow, like a physical weight had been lifted from his shoulders. "So what happens now?" Natalie asked. "We move on," I said. "They'll make their monthly restitution payments, and if they miss any, they risk violating probation. Beyond that, we don't have to have anything to do with them." "It's strange," Jack said quietly. "All my life, I felt this pressure to be perfect for them. The golden child, right? But it was never about being proud of me. It was about having something to control you with." I nodded. "And all my life, I felt like I was constantly failing by comparison. Never measuring up to you." "They played us both," he said. "Different tactics, same goal, keeping us under their thumb. We've both changed our phone numbers and email addresses. We've created new social media accounts under stricter privacy settings. We've told our extended family that we're not interested in hearing updates about our parents. Some relatives understand. Others think we're being cruel." "They're still your parents," my aunt said. "You'll regret this when they're gone." "Maybe I will. But I doubt it. I'm seeing my therapist twice a month now instead of weekly. We're working through my issues with boundaries and the residual guilt that still crops up sometimes. Work has been a refuge. I threw myself into a big marketing campaign and ended up getting a promotion last week. First thing I did was call Jack to share the news. It felt good to celebrate an achievement without wondering what strings were attached. As for our parents, they've had to downsize significantly. The boat was sold. Dad had to come out of retirement and take a part-time job. Mom apparently joined some church group that's praying for our return to the family fold. Their restitution checks arrive on time, though. The system makes sure of that. Sometimes I think about those fishing trips at Lake Carson, about the good moments that surely must have happened in our childhood. Were they real? Were my parents different people then? Or were those just brief interludes in a lifelong pattern of manipulation? Jack and I are building something new. Something healthier. Based on actual brotherhood instead of competition and resentment. We're planning a camping trip next month. Just the two of us, back to Lake Carson. Full circle, in a way. It's not the family I thought I had. But it might be better than the one I was born into.